Welcome back, everyone. We are halfway through this list. Now it's time to talk about my favorite movies from number 50 to 41. Number 50. The Iron Giant. Not many people saw this in the theater when it came out. I was actually one of the people that did see it in the theater because I begged my parents to take me to see it. And it definitely did not disappoint. This is one of the best non-Disney movies that have come out in the past 30 years, I think, because it's beautifully animated. It's the directorial debut of Brad Bird, who has gone on to do such phenomenal stuff like The Incredibles, Ratatouille, and Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. The characters are wonderful. It is very much the cliched story of a boy and his alien, or a boy and his robot alien in this case, but you buy it. Hogarth is a really great character. The giant is just so gullible and likable. He's very childlike, and despite the funny moments spread throughout this movie, it can get very emotional. It can get surprisingly emotional, and it just works all around. The ending gets me every time because it's so powerful. If you've never seen The Iron Giant, even though this movie's starting to gain a lot more popularity now, if you still haven't seen The Iron Giant, please do yourself a favor and see it. Number 49. The Dark Knight. Ooh, I can just imagine some people out there shaking their fists in the air that it's not in the top 10 or number 1. But hey, this is my list, and there are 48 movies out there that I like more than The Dark Knight. But it's still The Dark Knight. It's one of the greatest comic book movies out there. It's got a great story with some Hitchcockian level thrills. Christian Bale does a great job as Bruce Wayne / Batman. It really plays up the detective side for Batman. The rest of the actors are fantastic. Maggie Gyllenhaal, Aaron Eckhart, Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman. And of course, Heath Ledger as the Joker is phenomenal here. He delivers one of the great all-time performances and rightfully deserved that Oscar. He's funny, but most importantly, he's unpredictable and he's scary. You are on the edge of your seat and you're hoping for Batman to go after him and basically save the day. The movie has a great score as well. It's got a very tight script. It might run for a little too long, but you're never bored. It's just a true testament to how phenomenal this movie is. Even though I'm going to talk about some superhero movies that I like over The Dark Knight, there's no question that this will be the most influential comic book movie out there, and the one that will stand the test of time. Number 48. Groundhog Day. I knew nothing about this movie going in, but I do remember seeing a lot of movies that have parodied Groundhog Day, where it's just one guy reliving the same day over and over again, and throughout it he learns to be a better person. And yeah, this movie is just so unbelievably charming. It's funny. Bill Murray, who's the master of sarcasm, just gives a great performance. The rest of your side actors are really good, and it's just so imaginative. For being such a simple and kind of dumb premise, they do a lot with it, and at the end, it can be really dramatic and heartfelt. It's one of those movies that it's kind of hard to describe in terms of what genre do you place it in. The American Film Institute lists it under fantasy, which is bizarre, but maybe I can get on board with that. But I think anyone can agree that this is just a great movie all around. If you've never seen Groundhog Day, what are you doing? Go see it. Number 47. Blade Runner. Even with Blade Runner 2049, I still think this is the superior movie, and I feel like I'm in the minority in that. Whatever the case, it's such a great movie in terms of its visual style. The city is so beautiful. The score is so atmospheric. It really lends itself to being a great film noir or neo-noir. Harrison Ford as Rick Deckard is phenomenal. One of the great characters that Harrison Ford has brought to the screen. And it's very much a thinker's movie. It's not big on action. It's not all gun-ho. It makes you question about artificial intelligence. Like, when is it so advanced that you can't tell it's AI? Does it have feelings? Does it deserve to be treated the same way as human beings? It's just such a well-made movie and definitely a thinker's film. Again, I adore Blade Runner 2049, but this here is still the better movie in my opinion. Number 46. Shaun of the Dead. This is my favorite Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost movie. More than Hot Fuzz, that might have to do with the fact that Shaun of the Dead was the first movie they made, and it's just downright hilarious. To this day, I think zombies are just a tad silly. It might have to do with this movie, but the great beauty about this is that it's not just a parody of zombie movies, it plays it seriously enough to where it could actually pass as a legit zombie movie. Most of the characters are likable, it's got some great writing, it's downright clever in every sense of the word. The editing is outstanding and helps lend itself to the storytelling and just delivering the jokes. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost have fantastic chemistry, and even the gore effects are outstanding. For being a parody film, the zombie gore effects look so good that it might as well have been done by Tom Savini back in the Dawn of the Dead days. There is nothing about this movie that sticks out or isn't funny. It's just clever all the way through and was a fantastic introduction to Edgar Wright as one of the best directors working today. Number 45. Mary Poppins. I'll actually be doing a full review for this movie the closer we get to Mary Poppins Returns, but I'll just say right now as a little preview, this is one of the great films out there that gets better the older a person gets. When you're a kid, you're focused on all the really whimsical moments and all the times that the Banks kids have with Mary Poppins and Bert, but as an adult, you can really appreciate it for more than that, especially when it comes to Mr. Banks and how this movie is Mary Poppins coming in and kind of helping Mr. Banks out by taking care of his kids. Julie Andrews is phenomenal in this role. This is her most iconic role that gave her an Academy Award for Best Actress. Dick Van Dyke's Cockney accent is a little strange since it's not all that good, but this was the first time I ever saw Dick Van Dyke in anything, so I just imagine him with that Cockney accent as if it's a real accent. But he's great despite the accent. The songs by the Sherman Brothers are outstanding. It gets really emotional by the time you get to the end of the movie, and it just leaves me with a happy feeling in the end. I have no idea what's going to happen with the sequel when it comes out, but I can tell you right now, whether it's good or not, it cannot top this original classic. Number 44. The Birds. This is often considered to be Hitchcock's last masterpiece, and what's weird about it is that it's a simple B plot. A bunch of birds go around a small fishing town and attack people, but it's so expertly done by the master of suspense himself. There is no musical score throughout. The bird scenes are very effective, and it all has to do with the fact that it's birds. They're creatures that we really don't take for granted all the time, but they're everywhere. They outnumber us, and even though some of the blue screen effects and compositing shots of the birds look pretty dated by today's standards, it's still intense, it's still terrifying, and the ending is just so uncomfortable that you really don't know how to take it. Tippi Hedren gives a great performance in this film. You like her character, and her dynamic between all the other characters here is just very well done. I mean, this is really a weird movie to talk about because it's not that hard to understand, but just the effect it'll leave on you when you finish watching it is something that is beyond phenomenal. Number 43. Evil Dead 2. Is it a sequel? Is it a reboot? Who cares? It's Evil Dead 2, and it's one of the great horror comedies out there. It is the best horror comedy, in my opinion. It's got so many bizarre, goofy moments that you really can't describe, but it's also got its level of thrills. Bruce Campbell gives a phenomenal performance. I mean, this is his movie right here. For most of it, he is alone, and does a phenomenal job. And it's also a fantastic movie in terms of cinematography. Sam Raimi is most well known for all of his unique camera tricks, and what he does here with the camera work is phenomenal. You have that incredible sequence where the camera is going across the entire cabin following Bruce Campbell, and you just wonder how many times did they have to do that? How did they accomplish the shot where the camera goes through the back window of the car and out the front? It's just the definition of movie magic where you wonder how did they do that, and considering that it cost as little as it did, it just makes it even more impressive. There really isn't any other way to sum up this movie but with one word: groovy. Number 42. Beauty and the Beast. This is actually the very first movie I ever saw in the theater, but sadly, I didn't remember seeing it in the theater. I never had a nostalgic attachment to this movie, and just didn't rewatch it until it came out on Blu-ray for the first time. And it's definitely a masterpiece in terms of Disney animation. The animation itself is just gorgeous. It feels so much cleaner than something like The Little Mermaid. The songs are better this time around. I love the character Belle, even though she goes through a bit of Stockholm Syndrome, when she actually bonds with the Beast, you kind of believe it because they take their time and the chemistry works so well. The side characters are just great as well. You got a fantastic villain with Gaston. It's just a movie that works on all cylinders. It is just one of the greatest movies of the Disney Renaissance. Number 41. A Bug's Life. I feel like this movie doesn't get the amount of love that it's supposed to, and yes, this is the same plot as Seven Samurai, and yes, I actually like this movie more than Seven Samurai. It's my own list, what can you do? But I think the reason A Bug's Life works so well for me is that the character of Flick is so identifiable. I talked about this in my review for A Bug's Life, but this movie came out at such a perfect time when I didn't feel like I was liked by anyone. Everyone kind of pushed me to the side. So when A Bug's Life came out, I identified with the character of Flick because it was like watching me, and seeing this character go through some of the troubles I was going through was really relatable. On top of all that, the animation is beautiful, the side characters, all the circus bugs are great, the score by Randy Newman is just top-notch as well. I think it's a very underrated score. I love the song The Time of Your Life, and just like Seven Samurai, it is a very epic film. You really get a true sense of scope and how large the world around these bugs is. And even though we all hate Kevin Spacey and we just kind of feel icky whenever we think about him, he is probably Pixar's best villain as Hopper. He's scary, he's intimidating. I haven't watched this movie ever since all those accusations against him came in, so I don't know how I'd feel, but I doubt it will ruin my overall enjoyment of this 20-year-old film. I love it. And those are my favorite movies from number 50 to 41. Tune in a couple weeks where I'll talk about my favorite movies from 40 to 31, but until then, I want to hear what you guys think of this list. Do any of these movies land in your top 100 list? What do you think of the picks overall? Are there any you would disagree with on me entirely? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and of course leave a comment. Don't forget to support my Patreon page, follow me on social media, and until next time, this is the Real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.